When you buy a condo, basically there's no interview required. So like I said, you just show up with your chunk of cash. You know, if you have $2 million, you know, you can buy a condo for $2 million. All you have to do is basically fill out an application, a condo application, and that's about it. Where a co-op, when you buy a co-op, you're gonna have to go through a meeting with a board member, with a co-op board member, which means that even though, you know, you have great assets and you have like $200 million in your bank account, the co-op can reject you because it's basically a co-op can just decide who's going to live in their building and who's not going to live in their building, and without giving any reason, basically. You know, we've seen many times like celebrities getting turned down by a co-op because the co-op thought that they were going to bring like paparazzi and all these people. But so it really depends. It doesn't matter how rich you are. If you still have to go through the board interview, and they have to decide if you're going to be fit to live in the co-op or not, basically. Yes.
I have a question. Basically, is this a good time to buy? The reason being, prices have been going up.
Yeah.
But there's a change in the tax law.
That's right.
And the amount that you can deduct on your taxes are limited to $10,000 for state taxes. So I would think that the value of the properties are going to go down in value.
They still already, if you've been following the market for the last 3 years, they still been, the prices have been going down in a substantial amount. I mean, right now we see a lot of inventory in Manhattan and Brooklyn and New York City, and basically it's a good time, I think. I always tell buyers right now is a good time to buy because the prices are way lower than they were 3 years ago, you know?
Yeah, but they may continue to go down as people fill out their tax return and they find out, oh, I can't take the full amount that I'm paying in state taxes as a deduction. I mean, it was unlimited at one time. I mean, it was unlimited until this year. You could take $50,000 if you want to, but now you're limited to $10,000. So.
Yeah, but once again, that's why it's a buyer's market right now, because buyers get a better price. You know, there's more inventory, and buyers right now they do get better deals than once again than 2000.
So it's not only a financial decision; it's also an emotional decision. What attachment do you want to the place where you live? Do you want to own it and control it? Over time, property values have generally gone up by comparison to the stock market. Real estate has, back in history, real estate's always been a good investment. So a number of things. From a financial point of view, let's talk about financial point of view. You're correct. You can only deduct up to $10,000 of your real estate taxes. You can only deduct the mortgage interest of up to $750,000 of your mortgage. But what the decision, in my opinion, should also take into account is how you look at your life, how you look at where you're living. You know, it's an investment in your quality of life. Do you want to live in a place that you can't control, where at any time, if you're living in a rent-stabilized a building, where the developer says 5 years later we're selling the building, you don't have a choice, you have to be out or we have to buy you out? Or do you want to own the place where, based on historical data, values have gone up and you have an appreciable asset that you can do what you want with it?
Especially New York City, you know, which is a very unique market in America. If you go to other towns like Florida, where the market fluctuates every other couple of every 2-3 years, you never know what's going to be the market. But in New York, if you looked at the numbers for like the last 30 years, the market has always gone up, you know.
But real estate,
sometimes lower, slower than expected, but it hasn't gone up really in New York City.
when you pay rent every month, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm here from a mortgage standpoint. When you get a mortgage, every month that you're paying your mortgage payments, included in that payment is a principal portion. You're paying that mortgage down. You're accumulating equity. Equity is an asset.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, when you rent, you basically throw money away every month. I'm sure you guys know that. But anyway, so yeah, just to finish up the subject between co-ops and condos, when you buy a co-op, usually you have to put 20% down. When you buy a condo, it's usually 10% down. Okay. A condo takes also a quicker time to close. Let's say if you buy, if you have a mortgage on a condo, usually it can take up to like maybe 2 months to close. When a co-op, you have to go to the board interview, submit the application first, and then eventually get the board interview. So it takes a little longer, between 3 and 4 months. Yes, please.
Yeah, in terms of budgeting, realistically, how much should one expect the maintenance fees to go up? Because it's not regulated in any way, like if there's a huge capital improvement.
Sure.
I guess one should be prepared for it to go up significantly, but is there any cap on that or any guideline or?
Well, not really.
It's on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, every co-op is different. I mean, you mentioned maintenance, so you're talking about a co-op, right? Yeah, it's every co-op is different, but there might be assessments. Sometimes the co-op needs to redo their, the roof or do a repointing to the building. So if there's an assessment, you're gonna have to pay that on top of the mortgage and your monthly maintenance. Yes, Mr. Peter.
There are two answers that are typical to most real estate questions.
Peter is also my colleague, guys, on my team, so you might want to jump in once in a while.
There's two answers that are prevalent in real estate. One is it depends, because mostly everything it depends, and the second one is it's negotiable. So when someone was asking about the flip tax before, even if the seller is required to pay it, it can be negotiable. And when you're buying anything, whether it's a co-op or a condo, there are 3 things that you should look at the building. The roof, when was the roof replaced? If there's an elevator in the building, when was the elevator replaced? And the sidewalks, when were the sidewalks replaced? Because those are the big ticket items that once you're in the building, if they need to be replaced, you will get hit with an assessment or your maintenance will go up.
Yep, thank you, Peter.
Oh, isn't that something normally that your real estate attorney would do his due diligence to find out?
I would say the attorney, but but the realtor, is also, that's also his job
The attorney would be going through the
to
docs.
find out from the management. Yes,
That's due diligence after, but during the process, even before you make your offer, those are questions
Oh,
you should, you should
before,
ask those
of course.
questions before, so.
Yeah.
Then it can be validated or, more.
Yes, your broker will be able to tell you that.
Because sometimes going through the minutes, you would find out some more information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And or whether there's any trouble in the building or something else that, out of the ordinary.
And maybe based on your experience, what would be, you think, in terms of, for the roof, air, sidewalk, how many years you would have to be on the safe side? Like it was done 5 years ago, is it relatively safe? Or what should, and so when you should be worried? It's like
20.
20, for everything? Roof?
20 for a roof, elevator, it depends. An elevator could last 100 years.
Yeah, that's
It
fine.
could fall apart after 15. It's my real estate answer. It depends.
Yeah,
25 years for window replacements.
yeah. Just remember that when you buy a co-op, it's usually, it's a pre-war building, and pre-war buildings exist for a number of years, sometimes over 100 years,
And there's one more thing to remember. When you look at a kitchen, and the kitchen is dated like 10 years old, and you're going to want to replace it, it's the same thing as looking at a kitchen that's 50 years old, because you're still going to replace both kitchens. So as you look at that cost factor, don't be fooled by a kitchen that's only 10 or 15 years old, because most likely that's when the refrigerators are going to start going, that's when the stoves are going to start going. So always take that into account when you're looking at an apartment.
Yeah. So all you got to remember, basically, when you buy a co-op versus a condo, is that there's going to be more restrictions, right? You're going to have to disclose all your financial assets and also your liabilities, right? I mean, all your financials have to be put on the table, basically, on the application. Just remember, if you buy a co-op, it's usually cheaper, but more restrictions, and you have to go through a board meeting, a board interview, to get the approval that you'll be able to buy the apartment, basically.
So in
People that buy
reality-
co-ops- people that buy co-ops are more interested in who's living in the building with them.
Yeah, that's
Co-ops
right, yeah.
protects your neighbors. So if you buy into a co-op, there's a good chance that Jeffrey Dahmer is not living next door to you. And during the financial crisis, where there was tons of foreclosures, Manhattan Apartments co-ops, there was 0 foreclosures because the vetting process for a co-op is so strong that the people that were in that unit they were not foreclosing. And the only way you can get rejected from a condo, just as an additional point, is if the condo decides to buy the offer. So it's very unlikely that if you're bidding $1 million on an apartment, that the condo's going to come in and say, no, don't sell it to that guy, we're going to buy it. So most likely you'll go through on a condo.
Right of first refusal.
Yes, exactly.
Right of first
Thank
In
you.
reality, very few people are declined by a co-op board. Does it happen? Yes. But don't be scared to not want to buy a co-op. You know, co-ops are cheaper.
Yeah.
Similar. We're all pretty much civilized people living in New York City. What the pushback that a buyer could have from a co-op board is they may want to see stronger finances. And if the applicant isn't strong enough, they may ask for a parent to co-sign or for a parent to put money in a reserve account and an escrow account for 2 years so that the co-op can see that they've been paying their maintenance on time for about 2 years and then that money is released.
Yeah.
So it's just more of a rigorous process, but we close co-op purchases every day. 70% of Manhattan are co-op buildings, so
Yeah, just remember.
don't be deterred.
The only thing also with co-ops, when you're a foreigner, right, because like Richard said, you know, a co-op you have to disclose really all your financials, basically. You need to show that you have at least 2 years of credit in the US, and that's what most co-ops will require. And that's why a lot of foreigners are buying condos because they don't have that credit, you know, when they come from another country. It's easier for them to buy a condo.